Hello. Welcome everyone. So glad that you're here. It is an extraordinary new beginning. That is absolutely what I am declaring, and would love to. I'm just super excited about our time that we have together today. So we are going to run the full hour. If you have to pop off for any reason, have no fear. This is all recorded for you, and I will be emailing you later on today with today's recording. And likewise, for the next couple of days, if there are times when you can't be present for the entire time, you will be receiving the recordings. So let's get started. So I have titled our time together, Disrupting Modern Life, a Blueprint for Authentic Living. And I'm going to share with you as we go through these next few days why this has become a really important theme in my life, and why I really do believe that it's going to be important for all of us to start to shake up the way things have been. Because I think in a lot of ways, we're kind of missing the boat. We're a little bit misaligned in terms of our authentic being and what we truly desire in order to live a life that we love. And my belief is that you absolutely have everything you need within you right now to do this. Like, we absolutely within our beings have the ability, we have the intuition, we have all that it takes. And there are a few pieces that when we add it, it will absolutely magnify all of that. So I'm going to show you how you get to create exactly what it is that you desire, and probably some parts that you're not even aware of yet that are missing, that you really would that with adding that would really be advantageous for your life. So if you get to the end of our time together and you decide to partner with me on a vision that I have for each one of us to continue to pursue this, then I am going to gift you with a copy of my upcoming book. I am just awaiting my publisher's final comments, and then we are away to the print shop. Woohoo! Pretty exciting. So this has been a baby that I have been, it's been, let's see, I don't even know how many trimesters we're at this point, but it is being birthed. It is official. So if you decide at the end of this, I do have an offer for you tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to let you know what that offer is specifically. And if you decide, yeah, this is totally a fit for me, then along with my offer, I'm also going to give you this brand new edition of my book, which, yeah, super, super thrilled about it. It's called Be Outrageously You, because I believe a lot of us get kind of locked into patterns and ways of believing and thinking about ourselves. And I'm all about disrupting that, shaking that up so that we can actually be our truest version of ourselves. And it's not that we're not already that, it's just that we've kind of forgotten. So this book really is about all of that. So I would encourage you, I'm just turning off my phone right now, making sure it's on mute. I encourage you to do the same, to get yourself into mute mode with everything that is around you so that you can be present. One of the things that I do recognize about this modern society is it's kind of this tyranny of the urgent, where we are constantly bombarded with messages and notifications and whatnot. And so right now, just for this small moment, let us park all of that, and you can always come back to it later. The reality is we have a very fast-paced lifestyle. When you look back over the centuries, my goodness, I mean, everything kind of shut down when it became dark outside. Well, for us, we're just getting started, right? Because everything we have lights up. All of this keeps our body in a place of constant stimulation. And then we add to this the social media and all our digital screens and everything that we are constantly connecting with. And this actually is starting to lead us down, and I would say in younger and younger generations now, down this path of anxiety and depression and feeling like we're connected, but we're not really connected. And so our bodies are on high alert. And I have children that span the ages of 6 to 21. And what I see with my older children is, much like us adults, they're attached to their device and they're getting notifications at dinner time. They're getting notifications everywhere they go. And it's the same for us. It's this constant bing, 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 right? So all of this produces a response within our bodies. And our bodies are almost in this fight or flight reaction at any given moment of time. And so this is really disrupting our whole nervous system. It's disrupting our whole natural way of being. And it's leading us to feel, overly tired, overly stressed out, totally overwhelmed. And so then we're reaching for caffeine in the morning to lift us up, and that sugar in the afternoon to keep us going, and then the alcohol at the nighttime to bring us back down again. And so this creates quite a roller coaster of hormone imbalances within our body and the cortisol and adrenaline. And it's leaving us feeling hyper alert and totally out of tune with ourselves. And it's leaving us in this place of feeling lonely and disconnected, even in the midst of being hyper connected. And what I believe we all desire is a sense of calm, a sense of peace, a sense of love, like true love for ourselves, true love for other people, and really a sense of belonging. One of our greatest needs as human beings is to feel like we belong. Not that we are the same, that we fit some mold, but that we truly belong, that we feel like we're heard, we feel like we're seen, we feel like we're known, and that we're also in alignment. And when we are totally in alignment with our values, with ourself, with our highest good, things flow differently. When we're out of alignment, we tend to be reactionary. We tend to just kind of go where things interrupt, as opposed to going from the place of our inner being. I am repeating myself, our inner being. I got stuck there for a second. And so this is that desire that we actually have at our core. So one of the greatest things that we can do to interrupt when we are feeling this sense of overwhelm, stress, feeling like we don't belong, feeling like we don't fit in, feeling like we don't measure up, we're not enough, feeling like we're never going to get ahead, we can't quite keep up, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, any of those kinds of things. When we actually tune into our nervous system, and our nervous system is so powerful and so important for all the systems of our body, really. And when it's all on high alert, it's essential for us to begin to calm the nervous system so that we can actually settle our minds, settle our bodies, settle everything. So one of the great tools, and I'm going to teach you a few over the next few days, nervous system regulating pieces. But one of the biggest things we can do is with our breath. We all have it. If we're here and we're alive on the planet, we have breath. And oftentimes we forget about breathing. I used to notice, this is many years ago, I'd be washing the dishes and, thinking about the day and thinking about what I need to do for the next day. And I'd realize I was not breathing. And I would stop myself and go, okay, Kimberly, take a breath, take a breath. And oftentimes we breathe in through our mouth. And yet if we breathe in through our nose, it actually has a very large benefit to reducing our stress. It actually improves brain oxygenation. It enhances vagal tone, which we're going to talk to again over the next few days. There's lots of things we're going to cover. And I want to teach you something that when you pair your breathing with another tool, this is going to be really powerful for us. So let's start first with a really slow, deep inhale. And I want you to put your hand on your belly and do your best just to breathe in through your belly. Now, most of us, when we start to breathe, because we're so stressed out and everything is so tense, we start to go, and our shoulders raise up to our neck and our chin. So what we want to do is just bring everything down. If you can, just allow your shoulders to drop. Put your hand on your belly, and I want you just, with your nose, I want you to take a nice slow inhale, and we're going to pause at the top. So just, and then let it out. You can let it out through your nose or through your mouth, whatever is preferable for you. So another deep inhale through your nose. One more. You probably feel better already. I mean, this is one of the things that I find is, even when somebody mentions the word breathe, I'm like, all right, take a breath. And then I want you to pair this with something called havening. And you're going to take your hands and you're going to clasp them together, and almost like you're applying lotion, you just want to very subtly and gently caress your hands so that you are now causing your nervous system and your whole being to slow right down. Like, just honest to goodness, we're just slowing down. We're going Mach 2 with our hair on fire up until now, just getting ready to show up to the webinar and getting everything in place. And now we're breathing and we're just doing this process called havening. Now you can take your hands and you can go up your arms if you like, up to your shoulders. You can go across your chest, whatever feels good. You're just almost giving yourself a little hug here. So this is something, any time of the day you can do this. You're on the airplane, you're feeling a little nervous, just do a little havening. I taught my daughter this when she was doing some oral surgery last year, and she was very nervous about the whole process, as was I. And so I taught her this just before we went into the dental chair, and I watched her, she just very slowly rubbed her hands together. Really an incredible thing, and such a simple process. So we can do this anytime, anywhere. So how does that feel? Put in the chat, how does that feel when you actually take a moment and you just pause? Now, if you're finding, oh, this actually made me feel a little overstimulated, it kind of made me feel a little tense, that's okay. That's okay. You might be in a place where you want to do some shaking. Crank up the music, shake your whole body, shake your arms, shake your shoulders, shake your hips, shake your whole body. So if you're finding this triggers you and this creates a sense of stress, that's all right. You just want to go into a different modality in order to get your whole nervous system to relax. So the other day, I was in a place where I was like, whoa, I am just in crazy overwhelm, and at the same time my body's wanting to go to sleep in order to avoid and ignore all of this. And so I decided to crank up the music, and I started shaking and dancing, and I actually listened to the song Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. So great to have a repertoire of music handy when you're going through anything. And really, this is about listening to your body. Your body is giving you messages all of the time, whether you like it or not, right? And when we actually can listen and tune into our bodies, it just can allow us. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, you felt calm. Yeah, it's such a simple thing to do, and yet so beautiful for your nervous system. So this masterclass is for you if you desire to create a life you love, if you want to live a vibrant, joyful life, and you want to live long and finish strong, as opposed to what we've been told that we're going to live long and be dying for the last 20 years of our life, right? We don't want any of that. I don't want any part of that. this is for you if you're feeling like there's this disconnect, if you're feeling like, God, I'm so hyper connected in so many different ways. I've got the text messaging and social media and instant messenger, and we're on all these different mediums all over the place, and people can access me at any time, and I can access them at any time. And yet I'm totally disconnected. Like, we're not actually connecting in ways that really nourish and feed our souls. So if you're feeling a little bit of that or a lot of that, you're in the right place. And if you're feeling you're not totally in alignment, you might be going down a path in your life. You might be feeling lots of joy, but maybe you're feeling like, oh, there's just something else, something maybe I'm missing. Maybe there's a little hole that's just there, not really sure what to do. So if you feel any of these things, you are in the right place. Now I want to introduce you to myself. So I'm Kimberly Chalmers, if you hadn't already figured that out. I'm a mom. I have 4 amazing children. This picture was taken a few years ago now, so my kids are bigger and more grown up. And the two on the left, they've already grown up and moved home. I'm also a partner. I have an amazing, incredible, loving partner. We've been together for coming up 8 years this summer, which is fun. And we have our little one together. I am also a coach. I have a podcast called Be Well and Be You. And usually I put out a podcast about once a week, but I'm a flow person. And so sometimes if it's not flowing this week, it'll come out next week. So I'm not attached to it having to be perfect or come out in a specific order. I've learned over the years to let go of my perfectionism. It still appears it's ugly had at some point, but I'm learning to put that aside and trust the journey. I'm also the founder and host of Uplifted Collective, which I'll tell you a little bit more about tomorrow. A beautiful, beautiful community. And as I mentioned already, author in waiting. And I love hosting parties. If you've ever been to my house, I love having people in my home. I love nothing more than to have people walk into my home, feel at home, feel like they can open up my fridge, open up whatever drawers, help themselves, and just be welcome in my space. So I know that is not something for everybody, but that is me. And for a few years, especially after having my little one, who's now 6, I wrestled with finding something that was just for me. I don't know about you, but have you ever had those seasons in your life where you realize you're doing everything for somebody else or for other people, or you're so involved in your work and your career, or you're so involved with your family, or you're so involved in all these things, and maybe you're really enjoying yourself, but you realize, well, is there anything that's like just for me? And for me, that became choir. So a couple of years ago, I joined this community choir. We have so much fun. We're a ridiculously fun group. We are ages 16 to 80, I think the oldest couple are, and they're vibrant and amazing human beings. And we have so much fun together. And one of the things that being in choir does is it stimulates the vagus nerve, which is really, really important. Again, we'll talk more about that. So I am a manifester. And guess what? So are you. We are manifesting all the time. Whether we know it or not, we are absolutely manifesting. Whatever we feel, whatever vibration we are feeling and we're at, we become a match for that within our environment, within the universe, within the field. And it's when we actually decide what vibration that we want to vibrate at. So you think about a radio, and you think about an old-fashioned radio where you remember with the dial, if you're old enough, you'll remember there's a dial and you're like tuning in. And if you're in between stations, it's fuzzy and it's staticky. It doesn't sound good. So you have to keep moving that station, moving that dial until you're bing, here's the station. And so often we're living in the static. And it's when we shift into that, oh, this is the station that I desire. That's when the fun really begins. And so I wanted to tell you about a couple of things that have happened for me over the past few years. One is that in 2015, I was looking for a new place for my children and I to live. I was newly separated, and I thought to myself, I've always wanted to live in this one little town. I want to go there. And so I began thinking about it and imagining it and dreaming about it. And I took action on it. And I actually created flyers and brought them all over the neighborhood and talk to all the neighbors there and told them, I'm looking for a place. And if you know something, let me know. And everything in my being was communicating exactly what I was desiring. And we came across this incredible home that for the next year was exactly what we needed in every single way. It was on 1/3 of an acre. It was big enough for 10 trampolines if we wanted to. There was room for each of my children. I had my own office overlooking this big farmland. It was perfect. It was exactly what I had intended. Fast forward, we ended up moving into a suite in my parents' home. There was a number of situations that occurred, and I began writing down the date that I would be moving into my large, beautiful home on a beautiful property with, all the things that I desired, a kitchen that overlooked the backyard and so on. Very, very detailed. And I began writing a future gratitude every night with this declaration. And I wrote this every night for about a year. And then my life got interrupted, and my dad ended up dying, and then we became caregivers for my partner's parents, and my whole world became focused on caregiving. But the universe had already heard. My message had gone out loud and clear. And 2.5 months prior to the date that I had put on my future gratitude for what I was attracting into my life, we moved into our dream home. It's not our forever home necessarily, but it's exactly what I was desiring to manifest. Again, fast forward some more time. I do some background work just for fun. And I was at a film engagement where we'd actually all volunteered our time. It was for a good cause, and they just invited people to come and volunteer. And so everybody, the entire crew, everybody doing the filming, everybody doing the directing, every single person was volunteering. There was not a single person on paid staff there. It was a really fun day, and we were all having this great time. And they decided to do this draw. You put in $20, and we're going to do a draw at the end for the grand prize. And everybody was like, sure, we put in all our money. And everybody just kind of half-heartedly put in their money. And I declared, I am the winner. I'm winning this. And in fact, I let all the background people know. And I was kind of dancing and like, I'm the winner. I'm getting this money. And people thought I was crazy and hilarious. And we were all laughing and having a great time. And then when they announced the winner, everybody looked at me and went, you knew it. Oh my God, you knew it. And I was like, yeah, I know. Because there was something inside of me that decided, yeah, that's for me. Now, have I always won every time I've declared something? Have I always got exactly what I wanted in the exact amount of time that I declared it? No, I mean, life does happen. But when we tune our radio station, it is magical, the things that do begin to line up for us. It is truly tremendous. And so it's not about the amount of money or the size of the house or, the names of the people that we bring into our world. It's not about that, but there's a matching vibrational frequency that when we are in that flow, the magic happens. Now, that also happens because we're actually in alignment. Now, if I'm declaring something that I want and it's not really in alignment with who I am and how I'm feeling at that time, then that thing may kind of miss me because I'm not actually in tune. Now, this takes practice, it takes time. And for some of you, you might have lots of stories like I have of how you have manifested and brought things into your life. And if you haven't written them down, I encourage you to do so because it's so good for you to have a record of these things. Now, I want you to, if you can for a moment with me, I want you to grab a pen and paper, preferably pen and paper. If not, grab a digital device. The pen and paper, there's something kinesthetic about that with your mind and your heart that happens. However, if you can't, and if you're driving right now, all good. You can just imagine with me, and after the replay, you can feel free to come back to these questions if you like, or take a screenshot. I do that. I'm often listening to things when I'm on the road, so I'll just take a screenshot and come back later. So I just want to pause for a moment here, and I want you to imagine living your dream life, just for a minute. You may not know what you actually desire at this time, and that's okay. You can just go to the feeling. What would it feel like if you had a dream life? Perhaps you can go back to a time in your life when everything seemed to flow and everything seemed to be working out perfectly and beautifully for you. And you can just feel into that. And it's totally okay if you, at this point, have no idea what that dream life is. It's really okay, because you are here for a reason. Something has invited you forward. Something in your being has nudged you to come and be with us today. Now, I want you to imagine if there was no limitations and no barriers in your way. What would your ideal life look like? So imagine, doesn't matter about the time, doesn't matter about money, it doesn't matter about who, it doesn't matter about, you know, your education or your lack of education. If there was literally no barriers. Now, so we're going to another level here. What would your ideal life look like if there were no barriers? Just imagining for a moment. Now, for some of you, closing your eyes is a great way to just go into your heart, continuing with your nice nasal breathing in from your belly. Who would you be if you were in this ideal life? Who would you be in that life? Would you be brave? Would you be courageous? Would you be enlightened? Would you be compassionate? Would you be fierce and strong and powerful? Would you be totally authentically you? Who would you be? And you probably have things in your life, or in the past have had things in your life, where you totally lose track of time. And it's in these moments that you feel electrified, you feel alive, you feel inspired. It could be when you're doing yoga. It could be when you're in nature. It could be when you're reading a book. It could be when you're serving other people in the community. It could be when you're having tea with a great friend. It could be when you're traveling. What are the activities that actually bring you to that place of just being so present? The time just doesn't matter. Time almost seems to stand still for you. These are so powerful for you to think of because they give you an indication. They give you some insight into who you are and into the life that you have within you to create. I know for myself, when I'm singing and in choir and I'm just having such a great time And then it's like, oh, we're done. Oh, okay. All right. We have to go. But can we all just hang out for a little bit more? Can we talk for a little bit more? Like just being in the energy even of the people there is so fun for me. When I host people in my home, I'm always like, don't leave, unless I'm super exhausted. But if everybody starts to exit at 8 o'clock at night, I'm like, it's all good, guys. Just hang out for a little longer. I think sometimes as we get older, sometimes people think you have to leave early. Mind you, if you're at my home at midnight, I might just kick you out. Anyways, if you knew your life was waiting for you, what would you stop doing? You probably have things in your life that you are a part of, maybe because you feel obligated, maybe because you feel like you're supposed to, or it's what you've always done. But if you knew that your life was just on the other side of it, what would you stop doing? I was recently talking with someone who realized that they'd been trying to manifest a piece of furniture for their home. And it was a super cluttered area, the space where they wanted this piece of furniture to go. And they realized one day, after they were trying to manifest this piece of furniture, and then they realized, oh my gosh, it's so cluttered and so messy here. I got to clear space for that. I don't even have space for this piece of furniture right now. So they cleared the space. They stopped allowing clutter and they opened up the possibilities. So on the other side, what would you start doing if you knew that your life was waiting for you? What would you start doing? Is there a class you've always wanted to take? Is there a time that you've always wanted to set aside for you to have luncheons with friends? Is there a book that you've always wanted to write? Is there a business you've always wanted to start? Is there a relationship you've always wanted to renew? What would you start doing in this moment? What could you imagine yourself starting to do again, or starting to do from scratch? If you knew a magical, beautiful, incredible life was waiting for you, and if you're already living this incredible, beautiful, magical, wonderful life, yay, yay. And this isn't about more or better, but what if there's a way, maybe there's something even that you could start doing within yourself, that you could stop a certain behavior that you have and adopt a new way of thinking, a new way of believing about yourself. Now, if you woke up tomorrow and everything had fallen into place, what would have changed? What would be different? It's like you literally wake up. Here's the doorway. Here's the sunrise. Here's your beautiful life. Will you have a vibrant, amazing, uplifting circle of friends? Would you have more time for yourself? What would have changed? How would you feel? So this is really important. Let's go into our body. How are we feeling? We've now stepped through this doorway. We're in this beautiful life. How do you feel here? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel free? Do you feel immense joy? Do you feel aligned and authentic? Like, I am me, and I'm bold, and I'm brave, and I'm courageous. Do you feel at peace? Do you feel this overwhelming sense of love for yourself, love for others? And do you feel this abundant gratitude for it all? So there's a few things that we're going to talk about over the next few days that are keys for you, for me, for being able to really be in that place of alignment and truly create the life that we dream of. And today we're going to talk about community. Tomorrow we're going to talk about wellness strategies. We're going to talk specifically about Europe and the blue zones. If you don't know what those are yet, we'll be talking about those tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about purpose, because ultimately, if we have no sense of purpose, or we're not sure what our purpose is, or if there's more purposes that are within us, if we're not living in the direction of those, our life can become quite stagnant. And we might have a pretty good life, but we can have a really tremendous life when we're living from that place of purpose. So as far as your dream life, you may be thinking to yourself, Kimberly, you're out to lunch. It's totally not possible. You don't know how much I have failed. You don't know how much I have started things. I've tried to manifest things. It hasn't worked. I've failed over and over. Or you might be thinking, I'm not even going to live long enough to achieve the dreams that I have. And I'm here to tell you, and I'm going to give you some evidence for this over the next couple of days, that you absolutely have the time. And time is not short. Time is not running out. And no matter your age, in fact, Gary Vaynerchuk, if you follow him, he just did a little post the other day about, don't quote me, but I believe she's 102 years old, the woman he was referring to. And she is still part of running her businesses at 102 years old. Yay! Love that. So you don't necessarily have to work until you're 102 years old, but having that sense of purpose, trust me, we're going to have some serious longevity here. You may believe that you're not enough. You may believe that you are not capable. You're not enough. You're not worthy. And I want to start right now with supporting you in creating a shift from the it's not possible to it is possible. And here's the thing. Anytime I start to think to myself, oh, you fool, oh, you moron, oh, how did you do this again? Oh, blah, blah, blah. And we all have the mind chatter, right? It's all there. It's a matter of whether or not we're going to pay attention to it. And it's a matter of whether or not we're going to start to flip it on its head. And we're going to say, actually, I'm going to choose a different thought here. Actually, I'm going to choose to believe there's unlimited possibilities. Maybe I just haven't experienced them yet. Maybe I'm not aware yet. Maybe I just don't know what those are, but it is possible. And when we flip, I've failed so much. I've not accomplished the things I've wanted. You don't understand the projects I've started and I haven't finished, and on and on and on we can go. And when you flip that to, I'm on track to, we don't necessarily have to say, I am successful, because sometimes our brain's going to go, but you're not successful. I already told you so. So in order to actually make the flip in such a way that we'll actually believe it, we say, I'm on track to. I'm on track to creating success. I'm on track to creating abundance. I'm on track to creating the community I've always desired. I'm on track to success. I'm on track. It's a really great way to flip it. You may be thinking that you're not going to live long or not have enough energy, but I'm here to tell you, you got to borrow my belief. So this is another strategy. Borrow somebody else's belief. When you don't believe it, you go to the place of, but she believes it for me, and I'm going to trust her. Because you see, sometimes I don't trust myself, but I'm going to trust her. And so you're going to trust me today. And I'm going to tell you, you will live that long. Hallelujah. And there is an abundance of energy to be tapped into for you. If today you're not feeling that energy and you're feeling fatigued and whatever else you're feeling, it is still 100% possible to begin to shift that. So you're saying, I will. It's possible for me. And this whole I'm not enough bullshit that so many of us have believed for far too long. I'm telling you, this belief has got to go. And yes, it feels like a process. And I'm here to tell you, you are enough. Borrow my belief. You tell yourself, I am enough. Kimberly believes in me, right? If you made it here, meaning the sperm and the egg got together, and not only did the sperm reach the egg, but the egg actually said, okay, I'll receive you. The egg actually has to do this. It doesn't just say, oh, whatever sperm hits me, I'm going to, no, it actually has to say yes. So now you have both elements coming together and in this beautiful form of creation. Therefore, you're meant to be here. You have breath in your lungs. You are still meant to be here, and you are meant for so much more. So I'm not going to be able to say this enough today to just bring it home. Like, please, you are enough, and begin telling yourself this. And here's the thing about the things that we desire, the life that we desire. It's not about money for the sake of money, or success for the sake of success, or, traveling, or the house, or whatever it is that we've decided is on our dream board. It is always about how it makes us feel. Let me say that again. It is always about how we desire to feel inside. And we all want to feel good, right? Like, we don't wake up in the morning going, I just want to be miserable all day and every day. No, we wake up in the morning wanting to feel good. We may not feel good in the moment, but ultimately there is this desire for all of us to feel good. And one of the things that I know to be true is that long before we feel something, long before we attract something, long before we manifest something into our life, it's important for us to feel it in our being. And we often give into all the feelings of not enough, don't have, wish I could have more, this person has more. And especially with social media nowadays, it's insanity, all the messages that we are continually bombarded with. I mean, they used to say that there was, millions of pieces of information. Now I'm sure it's billions and billions of pieces of information that is coming at us at any given moment every day, because we're constantly on our phones and measuring ourselves against some standard that's really, for the most part, artificial and superficial. And yet we're constantly saying, I'm not enough. And how could I have that lifestyle? That person's smarter. That person has children. That person doesn't have children. This person is, born and raised this way. I had a different life. I mean, we go into all manner of story around why we can't create the very thing that we desire to create. And the reality is, the best thing we can do for ourselves is to feel what we want to feel in the moment, or what we want to feel in the future, to feel it now. And I love being able to just focus on something that I love. So focus on, for me, it's really easy with my children. I just focus on, and then I feel that love. I feel it in my whole being. I feel it right into my bones, and I feel it more and more and more. And I literally 10 times that I expand that feeling. And when I do that, then I can go to the place of, and this is what I want to create. And I'm so excited to create this, because now I'm in this vibration. Now I'm feeling this excitement and this enthusiasm and this love. And I'm just feeling it all right down into my bones. And now I can connect it to what I truly desire. So I'm feeling it right now, and I'm connecting it to the future that I desire. And it's not always easy to do this. And sometimes it takes some practice to kind of get out of the mind chatter and get out of the funk or whatever beliefs that we've been feeding ourselves, because we've been feeding them, for some of us, for multiple decades. And so sometimes it takes a bit of practice, but the more you practice this, the more that when you feel this vibration, it is going to align you. It's like that radio frequency. It's going to be a zoom. We're going to match up to what it is that you truly desire. And one really, really powerful way for us to actually continue to be in this vibration is surrounding ourselves with the people who are actually in tune, people who are actually vibrating in a frequency that we desire. So even if we don't necessarily feel that way yet, putting ourselves around people who are is so essential, because then we can all uplift one another. And there's seasons of time, right, where we're feeling less than, or feeling lower, or feeling like we got kind of the wind knocked out of our sails. And that's when it's imperative that we have people around us who can buoy us, who can actually bring us to a place of reminding ourselves of who we truly are. And community is something I feel a lot of us have lost, especially in our sort of Western culture, where we have this very independent, self-serving kind of way of living. I mean, even, gosh, just anything that we encounter, it's all about me doing it myself, me doing it myself, me doing it myself. And yet when we're in community, there is so much that is fulfilled for us. And not all communities are like this, but I'm talking about really rich, beautiful, rewarding places where people are all uplifting one another. Because the reality is we all desire to be seen, to be heard, to be loved, and to make an impact, right? We don't want to all just be selfish and it's all about me, 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 me. We often are more fulfilled when we are actually serving others and loving others, not at the cost or expense of ourselves, because that's a really good trap that a lot of us get into. But when it is really about this beautiful give and take. So there's a study that they began in I believe it's 1986 or 88. I don't remember the exact dates, but it was a study of nuns, and they did this longitudinal study that I heard about in the late 90s once they completed the study. And it stuck with me to this day, because there were certain themes that came up in their research around community, around shared activities, and around the lifestyle that these nuns lived. And what happened was these nuns all donated their brains for research. So once they passed away, this was what happened. And they began to study these brains, and they started to notice things like, some of the nuns had indications of dementia and Alzheimer's, and yet in their life, it never manifested. So what's that all about, right? And they started to see how these nuns lived to be very, very old in comparison to the rest of the culture. And it's because of this whole being in community. It's because they had activities that they shared together. It's because they were continually dialoguing and having conversations and working things out together, not in isolation. And there's a communal sense of purpose. There's a shared sense of purpose, and each person has a sense of purpose. So these were some of the big themes that came out of this study, which was really, really amazing. And there've been lots of different research over the years. The Blue Zones research, which we're going to talk a bit more about that tomorrow. Epidemiology. Oh my goodness, I can never get this word. I even practiced it earlier today. I'm like, I gotta get this. Epidemiological. I got it. If I say it super slow, I get it. Okay, so the epidemiological studies, religious and spiritual communities, there have been various studies on communities and how that all works. And then the intergenerational cohort studies, so looking at families through generations and whatnot. So there's lots and lots of research that has been giving evidence for the great need for us to be in community and to have a sense of purpose in order for us to have longevity, in order for us to live happier, more joy-filled lives. So there's so many benefits when you look at community. So you've got social support. You've got people who can lift you up when you're feeling like garbage. You've got this sense of belonging that we all have a need for. Then there's this knowledge transfer. I have a few groups that I'm a part of, and oh my goodness, like even just sitting in choir with the women next to me, and in my 50s, I'm not 50 yet, I'll be 50 this year, but like at my age category, I am one of the younger ones sitting in my little group. And I love sitting with these women. I sit with the sopranos. I love sitting with them because there's just this incredible back and forth of shared wisdom and humor and experience that is priceless. You just cannot put a price on that. And then there's like the emotional and mental and physical well-being. Now, sometimes I don't feel like going to choir because I've just had a full day or I've had a full week, and it's like, I know I love choir, but and then I get there and like I just instantly, in my entire energy has shifted because of that. It's an incredible dynamic. And then the economic benefits, and we're going to talk about one of the blue zones tomorrow, where they literally share in their economies, which is really extraordinary. But the economic benefits of just sharing resources and sharing ideas can make a huge difference. So what's happened to us? Why is it that for the most part, we feel really disconnected? Why is it that we kind of feel like we have to be independent and we have to go at this on our own, and it's kind of shameful? You know, like when I first, for instance, moved back into my parents' home after not living at home since I was 17. And, you know, people were like, oh, like, are you okay with moving back in with your parents? I'm like, hell yeah. Yes, I am, because it was a very intentional decision. I wanted my children to be around a happy marriage. I wanted them to see the value of being in a long-term committed relationship. And before my dad passed, they celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary. So amazing. And I grew up with my great-grandmother. I grew up living in my great-grandmother's home. So for me, I got the value of this, you know, community experience. And that's what I desired for my children. And so that's why we moved in. But the reality is nowadays people don't like that. It's like, no, 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 I gotta have my own place. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we now live in our own place, but we somehow think that there's shame around not being what we perceive as being independent. So what's happened historically over the past 100 years, we've shifted how we design our communities. So even in our housing, we typically have garages out the front of the house. So you drive into the garage, you're in the home, you don't even see your neighbors. Now, some of the neighborhoods have cul-de-sacs. Those are highly conducive to communities. The other ones where you have long stretches of streets, you drive into the driveway. This literally has shifted how we be with our neighborhoods. And then you have the reality that technology has shifted. So over the past 100 years, we've had the invention of the television. People started sitting at home being on the television. And then the internet happened, and we started being a little bit more, you know, researching and being obsessed with information. And then you have family dynamics that have shifted, much like I was saying, like we're supposed to move out, we're supposed to move on with our lives and, you know, leave our families. And other cultures don't necessarily operate and function that way. In fact, my daughter's school is in the city we live in. And the city that we live in, there are a lot of families that are fairly recent immigrants from India. And their family dynamics are very different from ours. They all work together. Everything is shared. Yet here, for the most part, if you're, you know, North American, you don't have that kind of family dynamic anymore. We also have longer work hours. We have long days away from our homes. And even if we're working in our homes, we're probably working around the clock. So a lot of that has shifted. And you look at before we had electricity, everything had to stop at nighttime. You couldn't be out in the fields at nighttime farming. You could, you know, read at nighttime, but, you know, by candlelight, it's not the easiest thing to do. And so by the very nature of it, our work time was shorter. And now we've extended all of this. And then this whole sense of individualism, like I am the most important person in my world, and I don't need to worry about anybody else or think about anybody else because it's all about me, me, me. This has changed how we feel. It's changed how we live our lives. And then you add social media, and social media fully shifted the entire dynamics of how we live our life. And the average person now spends between 3 and 4 hours on the phone every single day. Now you think about that. Even 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, we did not spend that much time on their phone. So what were we doing? What were we doing that's different? And how in the world do we even have time to spend that much time on social media? What's happened was somewhat intentional. So we went from email to the internet to what we called social networks. When some of the social media platforms first came out, they were called social networks. They were designed to bring people together in community. And there became a shift, most of us unaware of this shift, where they shifted from networking with your friends to how are we going to keep everybody glued to their phones? We're going to shift from social networks to social media. And now we have a beast that we are all addicted to, myself included, which I'm working on. I'm working on limits and boundaries and that whole, like, what would you stop? Right? I'm working on that. I'm working on shifting how I be with this whole beast. But it's amazing how everything has changed. So this is where we're going. And this is my invitation to each one of us, is to shift into a place of intentional community, to shift into this place of awareness, like recognizing that we are spiritual beings. And I do believe there's a massive awakening happening. I believe over the past 4 years, especially, there's a lot of people who are waking up and going, whoa, there is more to this life than the physical. There's more to this life than what I've been taught and told. And it's a time and a season for us to begin to really understand that we're not disconnected as humans, that we actually are one. The hippies in the 60s and the 70s, they had it right. We are all one, but somehow they got shut down. Somehow that whole thing got shut down in, the name of capitalism and independence and do it on my own. And I'm saying it's time for us to recognize this. It's not just me, it's us. And I'm in a season in my life right now where I'm recognizing the value and the importance of all of us being open-hearted. None of this, I'm judging you because you don't think exactly the same as me, and I'm going to point my finger and I'm going to blame you and I'm going to cast you aside and I'm going to unsubscribe because blah, blah, blah. It's time for us to be open-hearted. It's time for us to be compassionate and generous. And it's also time for us to be receivers. So remember, we talked about the things that I've learned about manifesting and that frequency. Sometimes we are shutting ourselves off. We're closed-hearted and we're closing ourselves off from possibility. And we're closing ourselves off from what actually is available to us when we really tune in. And we're going to a place where it's essential for us to be hybrid. We cannot be offline. I mean, look at us right now. We're connecting today because, we're on technology, which is brilliant, but we're going to be also intentional about being in human, face-to-face, physical, feel your energy in my space kind of way. And what we're moving into is a place of, instead of social media, we're moving into cultural software. And this is an element where you can have software online that intentionally brings people together, where you're not bombarded by all the other messaging and all the other negativity and kind of the vortex that's out there. And there's some beautiful things that have been created for us that most of us are just totally unaware. But there are people who, like me, have desired to start shifting the balance. Let's shift what's kind of happened without us being aware to actually being proactive and intentional about this. And so tomorrow I'm going to talk with you more. I'm going to let you know exactly what I have created for us so that we can actually have this intentional community and begin to shift the balance from what has not been working for us. Yes, there's some stuff that's been working for us, but all you have to do is look at the stress and anxiety and depression in young people right now to know that somewhere along the way, we have messed this up bad, and it is time for a radical shift. So a quick review, a reminder to really focus on nasal breathing. So if you're going about your activities today, focus on breathing in through your nose, more so than your mouth. Mouth breathing can actually elevate your heart rate. And if you're doing some somatic exercises, that's different because you're intentionally using the mouth breathing. But what I'm talking about right now in terms of just relaxing your whole being, do the nasal breathing. And then this havening, which is just a really great way for you to just calm. Or like I said, if you're in a nervous system state where you're needing to just shake it off, then crank up some tunes, dance, shake, feel, move. So either way is really, really effective for you. And we talked about you tuning into your dream life. We talked about what that could feel like for you. And we talked about shifting from those beliefs that we tend to have, and we all have them to some degree, shifting them and flipping them, like flip them to their opposite. And if you're not feeling it in the opposite form of it, saying something like, I'm on track to, or it's possible, or I'm learning to believe. So shifting whatever that negative belief is, I'm beginning to step into the place of possibilities, into the place of you can, you will, and you are creating. And when you live in alignment with your dreams, when you begin to feel the vibration that you desire to attract towards you, you feel it and you feel it and you feel it, and you continue to be in that place. And when those negative beliefs and thoughts start creeping in and you start to go, I'm choosing another way, I'm choosing to believe something different. When you begin to do this, you begin to unlock possibilities for your future that otherwise wouldn't be possible. And where we're going is intentional community. It's really awakening who we are and understanding how incredibly connected we are with one another, that it's not just me, it's me and you. And opening your heart, opening your hands to receive, be an amazing receiver. I mean, just get those rabbit ears going, get that radio station tuned, and begin to receive. Oh my goodness, this is going to light up your life, my life, our lives. The ripple effect is going to be super powerful. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about some wellness strategies specific to Europe and the blue zones. I'm also going to let you know about this intentional community that I've created that's thriving and so incredible and so fun. And we're all learning and growing. And it's just such a sacred place for us to be and to walk and to journey together. We just, yeah, I'm so excited to share this with you tomorrow. And as with everything, if that's not a fit for you, totally okay. Keep coming back for Thursday, where we're going to talk about purpose and we're going to talk about where you get to go from here. And just want to say thank you so much for tuning in today. I so appreciate each one of you being here and, your precious time and energy being with us today. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have an awesome day, everybody.